What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RC's Gateway to Comics. Today, we are going to be continuing our look into Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch with issue number 2. And this is, obviously, a continuation of the first book, which received a popcorn level rating from me. And we're going to see if this book holds a similar rating. Now, as I've already said, this is a continuation, so you have pretty much the same characters from the first one. You have Soldier 7, well, I guess I should actually show you. You have Soldier 7, you have Tundra, you have, where's the other ones that are a little bit further in the back? There's Crotch Rocket, right here. There's Stormborn, there's Neon and Rebel, my two favorites. And obviously there's Sea Dog. Now, as it was already mentioned in the first review, this is a collaboration between Clint Holinsky and Mark Polton, and also Mark Polton's son, Chase Polton, who is the creator of Sea Dog. And obviously, Codename Killswitch is a group of Clint's characters that they decided to mesh together into one comic. And this pretty much picks up where the last one left off with Codename Killswitch, or I should just say Killswitch. It's just second nature to just call them Codename Killswitch. It picks up with Killswitch actually going undercover at a strip club. And let's just be honest, that's what got me interested in these books whenever they were first being crowdfunded. Because that's not something that you see with comics nowadays. You don't see that that sort of irreverent humor and situations. It's funny and it's sexy. It's the F&S connection. I don't know if I'm going to actually make that into a thing, but it's funny to say. And that was something that was sort of advertised on the Indiegogo page whenever this was first getting funded. And that made me want to go and back this book and get the first book with that, because I hadn't gotten the first one at that point. And at this point, Sea Dog and Killswitch are still searching for Lord Shikari, if I can actually talk, and they're trying to find him so that they can get back Sea Dog's owner, Peter, and they can also stop Lord Shikari from harvesting the powers of the meta beings in their world, because up until this point he had been selling those powers on like a superpower black market sort of deal. And Neon was one of the metas that he was going to capture, but Killswitch and Sea Dog ended up putting a stop to that in the last issue. Now, they're pretty much the same characters as before. They have the same personality traits as before. Sea Dog is a little bit more confused as to where he sits in this superpowered world because of an appearance of other creatures like him, and it leads to what seems like could be an offshoot into a different series later on down the line, maybe after Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch is done. But other than that, all the other characters are very much the same. There is a little bit more story put into Stormborn whenever they end up going to his home world and they see what sort of chaos is going on there. But other than that, it's not really much different on the hero's side. Now, whenever it comes to Lord Shikari, he has gone from wanting to sell all of these superpowers on the black market to instead wanting to absorb them into himself instead, so that he can become the most powerful villain to fight against. He's actually not really to fight against anybody, just to be the most superpowered villain. And so he'll be able to use all these powers and make himself, I don't know, like a supreme being. I do think that changing up the villain's motivations in just the second issue is a little bit problematic, because in the first issue you just sort of were introduced to him and his motivations in that one, and then in this one you're getting those motivations switched around. But it may be a little bit understandable because he's encountering more superpowered beings. I mean, with Sea Dog, you wouldn't really know what to expect with him. So I can maybe forgive that a little bit. However, other parts of the story, whenever it comes to Lord Shikari, is that it seems oddly formulaic. For example, most of the times, like whenever you're first introduced to him in the first book, Killswitch is going into his compound and trying to stop him from teleporting to another place, so that he would be kidnapping and taking the powers from another meta. They fail to do that, he escapes, and the superheroes are left to regroup. That seems to happen like 4 different times in the span of these 2 issues. And there may be like a lengthened fight scene for maybe a couple pages and introduce other characters, but the main story beat does seem very similar throughout those times. Like anytime he shows up, there is Killswitch arrives, he monologues, Killswitch arrives, and then he escapes after a small fight. And then there's a little bit of story development, and then he shows up, he monologues, Killswitch arrives, fight him, and then he teleports away and escapes. And it happens repeatedly, and it was enough in 2 issues to catch my attention. In other parts of the story, there were areas that were interesting. Like there was tiny little bits that were added on, like Rebel getting pulled into a separate area to fight her own battle, and Stormborn fighting, I believe, his brother on his home planet. And that stuff I would really like to see more of. And there was also a new team of characters like Sea Dog who are introduced about halfway through the story. They're called the Animalers. I want to say right about there, she could be a standout character. I don't know what it is with me and these comic books, but I always seem to pick out the one obscure chick who is like in the background, has like 1 or 2 panels dedicated to her, and then she's not mentioned again. And it's like, these characters are the ones that stick out to me, and who am I kidding? Of course I know why they stick out to me, because they're hot chicks. But these, ignoring that little tangent there for a moment, the main story of Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch seems like it could go in several different directions. And as I did with the first review of issue 1, I'm not going to speculate on why this hasn't had an issue 3, but I am going to speculate in what ways issue 3 could go. Number one, you could split off the different sections of the team and make them into their own comics. I would personally like to see Rebel and Neon as their own team, because I'm a guy, and probably any guy would like to see two hot chicks on a team fighting against bad guys. But I guess I have to get into the other ones. Sea Dog, I could see him going his own way and working with the Animalers that I just showed you, and sort of making that into like an Animalers section of this universe, and then having Codename Killswitch, or just Killswitch, I guess, going with their more bloodthirsty way of taking out Shikari. And you could have Killswitch and you could have the Animalers going after Shikari and trying to get back Sea Dog's owner and trying to stop him from becoming this supreme villain. And I think it would probably help with the story a little bit, because right now it seems like whenever you add in the character of Sea Dog into the story of Codename Killswitch, it does seem like he wants to move on to. Sorry, this comic was falling over on my lap. It does seem like Sea Dog is constantly being pulled off into other side missions, and especially with the introduction of the Animalers. And I think it would be smart to allow that to happen, because whenever the character is being pulled out of their own story in Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch, it it's almost like it's almost like us as the audience are being told that these characters really shouldn't have been meshed together, and they should have been kept as separate properties. But I can see why they were pushed together originally. Uh, Clint and Clint Alinsky and Mark Polton seem like they are creators who like to push boundaries with what can be made, and they have a lot of different ideas. And to be able to put these characters together seemed like it was a worthwhile experiment, but it seemed like the experiment itself is almost trying to push all these characters away from each other in two issues. It's like at the end of the first one, both of them decide to team up to take down Shikari and save Peter. But it almost seems like subconsciously all of these characters know that they don't belong together and they want to separate. And as of right now, since these books don't have an issue 3, and I haven't heard anything about a Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch issue 3, I can only give my thoughts on what I think may be happening. But before we get into that, I did want to mention the art, because the art is again a highlight for this story. There is action scenes that are created quite well. There is you can feel the action on the page, and it feels like it's a classic comic fight between superheroes and supervillains. Now, as I mentioned before with the first book, Clint's art in this is probably the best that I've seen him do. And that is definitely saying something, because whenever it comes to Clint's art, there are some books where there is a lot of detail put into it. He he doesn't have a problem with drawing sexy women. That's definitely one of his many strong suits. It's just sometimes the detail in the art fluctuates dramatically. All of this stuff in this book is very consistent, and I definitely recommend it because of some of this art. And I definitely recommend it partly because of this art style. It fits with the characters and it fits with the story. And I really enjoy how this book looks. Now, moving on to the final rating for Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch issue 2. I would have to say that Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch issue 2 is definitely a popcorn level story. Yes, there is repetitiveness to it. Yes, there are some parts where it seems like the characters want to separate out into their own stories. But it is still a fun ride with fantastic art to follow it. I just wish that there were some more updates as to what's going on with this series because it's been a couple years since anything with Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch has been out. And Clint is working on, I believe it's Maidens of Mayhem right now. And Mark Polton is working on a lot of different stuff. Like he has had a lot of different stories coming out, and none of them are Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch. So I don't know if there is going to be an issue 3, but I personally hope that there will be because I really enjoyed the story, and I think that a lot of you guys would as well. What are you guys' thoughts on Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch? Did you enjoy the book? Do you think there's going to be an issue 3? Let me know all of that stuff down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and this review, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to keep bringing you more videos just like this. Also, make sure to go and check out Mark Polton and Clint Helinski's current crowdfunding campaigns. I'm not sure which ones will be available whenever this video is put out, but definitely go and check them out. Thank you guys all for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Peace out.